out here at the NFL Scouting Combine alongside Eric Eager, the VP of Research and Development from SumerSports. And you guys deal a lot with analytics. You work a lot with teams within the league. So tell us a little bit more about what you do when you come out here.
Yeah, I mean, we have models where we're building, player evaluation, draft tools, scouting evaluations for all 32 teams. And so what we're trying to do when we're here at the Combine is try to figure out what the teams want from us as far as, whether it's the newest scouting tool or the newest draft tool or the newest, tracking data analytic. And so what we're doing is meeting with all of the teams to try to figure out kind of what, to give them what the next new tool is from us and try to discover from them what's new, what they want from them.
Yeah, as far as the trends of where analytics take in the scouting combine, where have you seen it going?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is you're seeing fewer and fewer of the players test here. So you're not seeing Drake May and Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels test. A lot of the, Drake London 2 years ago didn't run the 40. It's because we have GPS data on him, and we can go through and actually watch and see his on-field speed and see how that projects from college to pro. And so we have a lot of that data already. So a lot of times it's going to be about kind of those informal meetings or those formal meetings where it's how can we take that, the personal data, like how well do they interview with the GMs or how well do they interview with the scouts, and how does that project from college to pro?
When you look at the analytics, I guess, for this draft class, is there a position group that really sings this year?
Well, it's quarterback. I mean, there's going to be 3 guys that are probably taken in the top 3 picks, and they all kind of present their own flavor. Caleb Williams is kind of the generational talent of the group. He's been, anointed that since he won the Heisman Trophy in 2022. But then there's Jaden Daniels, who I think had the best statistical season of any quarterback in this draft last year for LSU. You have Drake May, who has what scouts would call the tools. And so I think the question, for a lot of people, including, maybe Minnesota, is how to sort of marry, what you see on tape versus what you see in the numbers.
You mentioned Minnesota could be in for a quarterback this year, or at least looking for some type of future there for a potential. Is there a name outside of the top 3 that you think could be a good fit in Minnesota?
Yeah, I think Michael Penix Jr. out of Washington. I mean, he already wears purple, which is a good thing. He's all of his gear is already the same color it needs to be. And the one big thing that does translate from college to pro is how well a quarterback avoids sacks when he's pressured. And Michael Penix, during his career, both at Indiana but also in Washington, less than 10% of the time he was pressured, he took a sack, and that translates from college to pro. Patrick Mahomes, who's obviously the 2-time Super Bowl MVP of the last 2 years, his college to pro metric there is 0.1% different from college to pro. So it is one of those things where very few things from college to pro map perfectly, but that is one that does a really good job.
There have been several mock drafts that have been released where they have the Vikings going maybe towards edge rusher. What's a name that pops off for you that could be a good fit at number 11?
Yeah, Dallas Turner's one where he kind of, he has the productivity from college, but also has some of the traits, the speed that you want off the edge, as well as the ability to stop the run. That's a name that's always been, that's looked good when I've looked at the metrics.
Very cool. So metrics, analytics, it's words that we've tossed around a little bit about our front office as well. And I don't know how much you may know about the front office, but how the Vikings use analytics to benefit their first couple of years in the front office. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, how have you seen that play out?
Yeah, I mean, Kwesi is always sort of looking for value in underappreciated places. When you look at TJ Hawkinson, a first-round pick that many people in Detroit felt was a bust, he goes and trades, a couple second-round pick and a later-round pick for him. He ends up being the second-best receiver on this team and really being a catalyst to that offense for the last 2 years. Underrepresented places like, Cam Akers, things like that, where he's just looking for diamonds in the rough, and the math can help you identify that, I think, way more efficiently than sort of traditional means.
Taking a little bit of a beat off of the combine and analytics, let's talk a bit more free agency. You recently had an article up on SumerSports about the free agency proverbs. What's the inspiration behind that?
Well, my dad's a minister, so I always try to to throw that in there. But no, I just think a lot of teams. I grew up in Minnesota. I always remember them signing Bernard Berry and everybody being so happy and that never working. And I always remember the teams that make the big splashes almost never end up being the teams that succeed. And I think that a lot of times we get excited as fans and as analysts and as media members about this time. And I just kind of wanted to write about where to find value. And I know Kwesi Adofo-Mensah in his time in Minnesota has really done a good job of finding, sort of the players kind of in that second rung of free agency that have come in and been contributors and not, sort of tried to win a bidding war with other teams and overpay for players.
Speaking of paying, how do you think the $30 million increase in the salary cap will affect this year's NFL free agency?
I don't think it'll affect the higher end because those players are always going to move up no matter what. I think it'll affect the lower end, the lower tier players. I think we'll get a little bit of a boost. It'll be good for the veteran players. And I think for, players like, Justin Jefferson and players like that, like they'll get the boost, and then the players in free agency will sort of get a small fraction of that because that will be where they aim. It'll help the best of the best the most, and then the players in free agency will shoot for that, and I think it'll have a smaller effect on them than people believe.
How do you believe that would affect the Vikings in particular then?
I think that they'll just have more flexibility than they imagine, right? They have to go, and they have the decision to make with Kirk Cousins and what to do with his expiring contract, Marcus Davenport as well, and Justin Jefferson, who's a cornerstone player of the franchise, a guy who's going to be on his fifth-year option, a guy who's deserved probably the best contract in the history of the NFL for wide receivers, and so I think that is going to make it a lot easier for them to be able to get that done.
Well, Eric, we love all of the great information that you provide. Please let us know where we can see your work.
SumerSports.com is where you can find all of our great work, and you can follow me on Twitter at @EricEager_.
There we go. Well, thank you so much, Eric. We appreciate your time. Best of luck here at the Combine. Maybe we'll run into each other again.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No worries.